This is the news for today, Wednesday the 12th of June 2024. Breaking news. Shooting at Peachtree Center food court near Hard Rock Cafe leaves 4 injured. 4 people, including the gunman, were shot at a food court in downtown Atlanta. The incident occurred at the Peachtree Center, near the Hard Rock Cafe, and involved a dispute between 2 individuals. The suspect, a 34-year-old man, had a history of armed robbery and had served prison time. The altercation escalated into violence, with the suspect pulling out a handgun and shooting the person they were fighting with, as well as 2 other people in the food court. An off-duty Atlanta police officer confronted the armed suspect and shot him, bringing the situation under control. All 4 victims are currently conscious and alert, with the suspect also being shot. A witness at the scene described the chaos, with multiple police officers and guns present. The Atlanta Fire Rescue has also responded to the incident. The Peachtree Center food court was placed on lockdown, and the scene is still active. No further details about the shooter or victims have been released at this time. This is a developing story, and more information will be provided as it becomes available. This is the news for today, Wednesday the 12th of June 2024. Kristaps Porzingis injury uncertainty ahead of NBA Finals Game 3 with the Boston Celtics. Center Kristaps Porzingis, the Boston Celtics' versatile big man, is dealing with a rare leg injury that has left his status for Game 3 of the NBA Finals uncertain. The injury, a torn medial retinaculum causing dislocation of the posterior tibialis tendon in his left leg, occurred during the 3rd quarter of Game 2 against the Dallas Mavericks. This injury is distinct from the right calf strain that kept him sidelined for most of the playoffs. The Celtics medical team has consulted with various specialists regarding Porzingis' injury, and his availability for future games will be determined day to day. Porzingis expressed his determination to play through the injury, stating, "I'll do everything I can to be out there." However, he acknowledged that the decision ultimately lies with the medical staff. Porzingis' impact on the court has been significant, particularly on offense, where he has contributed 20 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 blocks in just 21 minutes in Game 1, and 12 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 blocks in 23 minutes in Game 2. His height and agility also enable him to guard any player on the court. The Celtics will closely monitor Porzingis' status, and fans will eagerly await updates on his availability for future games. This is the news for today, Wednesday the 12th of June 2024. High-speed hostage crisis. Deadly shooting on Gwynette County transit bus leads to multi-jurisdiction chase. 1 person died after being shot on a commuter bus that led officers on a wild chase for miles in Georgia. The incident began at approximately 4:35 p.m. when police responded to a report of gunfire on a Gwinnett County transit bus and a possible hostage situation. The suspect, identified as Joseph Greer, 39, held the bus driver at gunpoint and forced the bus to flee the scene. The bus was carrying 17 passengers, including the driver, and led police on a chase through 3 jurisdictions in Gwinnett and DeKalb counties. During the chase, police received a 911 call from a family member of a bus occupant, reporting a hostage situation. The vehicle was eventually disabled in Stone Mountain and surrounded by a spike strip and large Bearcat police vehicle, allowing the passengers to disembark safely. Greer was taken into custody without further incident. The victim's identity has not been disclosed pending family notification. This is the news for today, Wednesday the 12th of June 2024. Missouri executes David Hosier in 2nd lethal injection of the year. Missouri death row inmate David Hosier has been executed by lethal injection, marking the state's 2nd execution this year and the 7th in the nation. Hosier, 69, was convicted for the 2009 shooting death of his former lover, Angela Gilpin. Prior to the murders, Gilpin had decided to end their relationship and reconcile with her husband, which angered Hosier. Despite maintaining his innocence, Hosier was pronounced dead at 6:11 p.m. on Tuesday after being administered a lethal dose of pentobarbital. His last meal consisted of steak, a baked potato, Texas toast, apple pie, milk, and orange juice. David Hosier's attorney and witness of the execution, Jeremy Weiss, expressed profound sadness about the process and stated that they had done all they could for Hosier. Republican Missouri Governor Michael Parson denied Hosier's request for clemency, and anti-death penalty activists gathered to present a petition for clemency to the governor's office. The next scheduled execution in the United States is on June 26 in Texas, with Ramiro Felix Gonzalez set for execution. This is the news for today, Wednesday the 12th of June 2024. Joey Chestnut banned from Nathan's contest over Impossible Foods deal. Competitive eating star Joey "Jaws" Chestnut has been banned from participating in the Nathan's hot dog eating contest in New York due to his sponsorship deal with vegan hot dog maker Impossible Foods. The Major League Eating MLE organization expressed disappointment and stated that Chestnut was welcome to compete if he dropped his vegan sponsorship. Chestnut, who has won the Nathan's contest 16 times, holds the world record for hot dog eating with 76 in 10 minutes. He expressed his disappointment on social media and clarified that he does not have a contract with MLE or Nathan's. MLE and Nathan's claim they made efforts to accommodate Chestnut, but felt he prioritized his new partnership. MLE has stated that Chestnut's decision to represent a rival brand is a breach of their long-standing rules. The rules require competitors not to endorse a rival brand if they are going to compete in the contest. The Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest has been held annually since 1916. This is the news for today, Wednesday the 12th of June 2024. Chiquita held liable. $38 million verdict for Colombian paramilitary victims. A federal jury in Florida has ordered Chiquita Brands International to pay over $38 million in damages to victims of a Colombian paramilitary group, the United Self-Defense Forces of Colombia, AUC. This verdict follows a 17-year legal battle for the victims, and marks the first time an American company has been held liable by an American jury for human rights violations abroad. Chiquita admitted to providing more than $1.7 million to the AUC, a violent right-wing group that committed human rights abuses in Colombia, and was designated a foreign terrorist organization by the U.S. government. The company's support to the AUC was characterized as prolonged, steady, and substantial by the U.S. Justice Department. The decision opens the door for thousands more victims to sue Chiquita. Chiquita intends to appeal the verdict, stating that there is no legal basis for the claims. This is the news for today, Wednesday the 12th of June 2024. Election insights. Trump's influence and GOP dynamics, with wins for Sam Brown and Kelly Armstrong. Tuesday's elections revealed a lot about GOP power. Donald Trump's endorsement record held up as key general election matchups were defined. In a series of down-ballot elections across 5 states, Trump and establishment Republicans, excluding Kevin McCarthy, emerged victorious. These contests, characterized by low voter turnout, will significantly influence the future composition of Congress. Trump-endorsed candidates won their races, including Army veteran Sam Brown in Nevada's Senate race, and Representative Kelly Armstrong in North Dakota's gubernatorial primary. Meanwhile, McCarthy faced a setback in his quest for retribution against Representative Nancy Mace, who easily secured a majority of the votes in the primary. This is the news for today, Wednesday the 12th of June 2024. Judge Hinkle overturns Florida's transgender health care ban. DeSantis plans appeal. A federal judge has struck down a 2023 Florida law that blocked gender-affirming care for transgender minors and severely restricted such treatment for adults. Senior Judge Robert Hinkle of the United States District Court for the Northern District of Florida deemed the law unconstitutional. The law barred minors from receiving puberty blockers and hormonal treatments with their parents' consent and restricted treatment for transgender adults to only being done by a doctor, not a registered nurse or other qualified medical practitioner. The judge also halted the state's ban on online treatment for transgender adults. Hinkle emphasized that transgender people are constitutionally entitled to the legitimate treatment they need, and compared those who oppose gender-affirming care to those who once opposed equality for minorities and women. Republican Governor Ron DeSantis' office criticized the decision, calling it erroneous, and vowing to appeal. Those who sued the state argued that the law unfairly targeted transgender people and impeded their access to health care, and they celebrated the decision, saying it means they can now receive the healthcare they need without fear of persecution. This is the news for today, Wednesday the 12th of June 2024. U.S. and Russian naval showdown in the Caribbean, monitoring movements with Boeing P-8 and MarineTraffic.com. The United States Navy has deployed warships and aircraft to track a Russian naval flotilla as it makes its way to Cuba. The Russian vessels, including a nuclear-powered submarine, are part of a set of extensive military air and naval exercises in the Caribbean. The Russian ships are scheduled to arrive in Havana on June 12 and stay for a week, and may also make a port call in Venezuela before the exercises culminate in worldwide naval exercises. The exercises are the first of their kind in at least 5 years. Simply as a precaution, and out of an abundance of caution, the U.S. Navy has deployed 3 guided missile destroyers, a Coast Guard cutter, and a Boeing P-8 maritime patrol aircraft to monitor the Russian activity. MarineTraffic.com has been tracking the position of the U.S. and Russian ships in recent days, and according to the website, the Russian sea rescue tug Nikolai Chiker was at one point positioned just 26 nautical miles from Key Largo on Tuesday morning. The HMCS Margaret Brooke, a patrol vessel for the Royal Canadian Navy, will also arrive Friday and stay until Monday, when the Russian ships are expected to leave. The Communist Party newspaper Granma said the ship's visit highlights the 50th anniversary of cooperation ties with Canada and the bilateral collaboration for the maintenance of peace in our region. A Venezuelan training ship, the A.B. Simón Bolívar, will also visit Santiago de Cuba, the island's second-largest city, from Saturday to June 19th. This is the news for today, Wednesday the 12th of June 2024. Israel-Hezbollah conflict escalates. Senior commander killed in Israeli strike. A significant development in the ongoing conflict between Israel and Hezbollah has occurred. Talib Abdullah, also known as Abu Talib, a senior military commander of Hezbollah's al-Nasser unit, was killed in an Israeli strike in South Lebanon. He was the most senior Hezbollah commander to be killed since the latest round of violence began in October. Abdullah was responsible for overseeing parts of South Lebanon near the Israeli border. The Israeli military has yet to comment on the strike, but it is reported that sirens were sounded in northern Israel following the attack, most likely indicating a rocket attack. This is the news for today, Wednesday the 12th of June 2024. Stabbing incident at Beihua University involves Cornell College instructors and arrest of suspect Kui in Jilin, China. A suspect has been arrested in the stabbing of 4 U.S. college instructors in Jilin, China. The suspect, identified as 55-year-old Kui from the city's Longtan district, collided with a foreigner while walking in Baishan Park before stabbing the instructors and a Chinese tourist who tried to intervene. The injured were taken to the hospital and are in stable condition. The instructors were from Cornell College in Iowa and were participating in a partnership program with Beihua University in Jilin. Knife attacks are not uncommon in China, but public attacks against foreigners are rare. The incident has drawn attention and concern from officials and lawmakers in Iowa. The U.S. State Department acknowledged the reports and is monitoring the situation. This is the news for today, Wednesday the 12th of June 2024. Hamas seeks amendments in U.S.-backed Gaza ceasefire proposal amidst intense diplomatic efforts by Blinken and international mediators. Hamas has responded to the U.S.-backed proposal for a ceasefire in Gaza, seeking some amendments on the deal. While not an outright acceptance, the response keeps negotiations alive for a possible halt to the 8-month war. Talks were thrown into doubt briefly Tuesday evening when Israel characterized a Hamas response to the latest proposal as a rejection. However, Hamas spokesperson Osama Hamdan affirmed the group's commitment to achieving a ceasefire, and the foreign ministries of Qatar and Egypt, who have been key mediators, have confirmed receiving Hamas' response and studying it. Hamas officials have expressed wariness over whether Israel will implement the terms of the deal, particularly regarding provisions for an eventual permanent end to fighting and a full Israeli withdrawal from Gaza in exchange for the release of all hostages. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has been in the region this week, trying to push through the deal. During a Gaza aid conference in Jordan, Blinken announced over $400 million in additional aid for Palestinians in Gaza, bringing the total U.S. assistance to more than $674 million over the past 8 months. The UN Secretary-General has also called for all border crossings to be opened, saying the speed and scale of the carnage and killing in Gaza is beyond anything he has seen since he took the helm of the UN in 2017. The UN Human Rights Office has stated that both Israeli forces and Palestinian militants may have committed war crimes during the Israeli raid that rescued 4 hostages over the weekend. This is the news for today, Wednesday the 12th of June 2024. Tragedy in Kuwait. Deadly fire in workers' residence rouses safety concerns. In a tragic incident, a fire broke out in a building housing workers in Kuwait, claiming the lives of 41 people. According to the Deputy Prime Minister, the fire quickly spread through the building, leaving many trapped. The cause of the fire is not yet known, but authorities are launching an investigation to determine the exact reason behind the incident. Deputy Prime Minister Sheikh Fahad al-Yusuf al-Sabah ordered the arrest of the building's owner during a visit to the site. Unfortunately, the greed of real estate owners is what leads to these matters, said Sheikh Fahad, who also runs the Interior and Defense Ministries. The affected building was reportedly a residence for expatriate workers, many of whom were from Asian countries, and it was housing Indian workers who were among the dead and injured. This incident highlights the importance of ensuring proper safety measures in living quarters for workers. This is the news for today, Wednesday the 12th of June 2024. Patriot reinforcements. U.S. doubles down with second missile system to aid Ukraine amid Russian bombardments. The United States will send Ukraine another Patriot missile system, answering Kyiv's desperate calls for enhanced air defenses amid the ongoing Russian assault on the northeastern Kharkiv region. This decision marks the second Patriot system provided by the U.S. to Ukraine, following President Joe Biden's approval. The Pentagon has previously supplied an undisclosed number of missiles for the system, and other allies, including Germany, have also contributed air defense systems and ammunition. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has repeatedly pleaded for additional U.S.-made Patriot systems, emphasizing their importance in countering the approximately 3,000 monthly Russian bombardments targeting both civilian areas and military installations. Zelensky emphasized the urgent need for 7 more of these systems to protect critical infrastructure, including the power grid, and civilian populations from Russian aerial assaults using devastating glide bombs. The announcement comes ahead of the monthly meeting of defense leaders from the U.S., Europe, and other nations to discuss Ukraine's security needs. This is the news for today, Wednesday the 12th of June 2024. IEA predicts oil glut crisis by 2030. The rise of EVs and the impact on U.S. and OPEC production. The International Energy Agency has issued a warning that the world could face a staggering oil glut by the end of the decade. The world is facing a staggering surplus of oil, equating to millions of barrels a day, by the end of the decade. The agency predicts that the demand for oil will dramatically decrease due to the rise of electric vehicles and increasing efficiency measures in transportation. This anticipated decrease in demand, coupled with the continued production of oil from countries such as the United States and OPEC members, could lead to an oversupply of oil. This surplus would be detrimental to the oil industry, as prices would plummet, potentially causing bankruptcies and job losses. The report emphasizes the need for governments and industries to shift towards renewable energy sources and clean technologies in order to avoid the economic and environmental consequences of an oil glut. This is the news for today, Wednesday the 12th of June 2024. Alliance angst. Eric Ciotti's controversial call with RN shakes French politics. France's conservative leader Eric Ciotti has sparked controversy by calling for an alliance with the far-right National Rally, RN, in the upcoming snap parliamentary elections. Ciotti, the leader of the Republicans Party, believes an alliance would help his party gain more seats, but many within his party disagree. The proposal has been met with resistance from party leaders, with some threatening to oust Ciotti from his position. President Emmanuel Macron, who called the snap elections, has urged rival parties to join him in forming an electoral pact against the far right. The RN is predicted to emerge as the strongest force in the elections, but may fall short of an absolute majority. The move reflects the growing influence of the far right in French politics, as the Rassemblement National under Marine Le Pen has gained support in recent years. The upcoming presidential election in France is expected to be highly contested, with immigration, security, and Islamism likely to be key issues. This is the news for today, Wednesday the 12th of June 2024. EU imposes up to 38.1% tariffs on BYD, Geely, and SAIC electric vehicles, amid trade tensions with China. The European Union has announced plans to impose tariffs of up to 38.1% on electric vehicles imported from China. This decision comes after an investigation into alleged unfair subsidies provided by the Chinese government to its electric vehicle manufacturers. The tariffs will be applied to battery electric vehicles produced by companies such as BYD, Geely, and SAIC, with the highest tariff of 38.1% being imposed on SAIC. The European Commission has stated that these subsidies are in violation of World Trade Organization rules and are providing an unfair advantage to Chinese electric vehicle manufacturers. The move is seen as an effort to protect the European Union's manufacturers from unfair competition and to level the playing field for European carmakers. This comes on the heels of the United States quadrupling tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles to 100% last month. However, European carmakers are concerned about the higher tariffs, as many of them have a strong presence in the Chinese market, and their cars produced there will also be subject to the increased duties. These carmakers fear retaliation from China, as well as an increase in prices and a drop in demand for battery-powered cars. The actions by both the EU and the US reflect the challenges faced by traditional automakers in Europe and America from Chinese companies that focus on electric vehicles and have lower cost bases. This is the news for today, Wednesday the 12th of June 2024. Hezbollah rocket barrage on Israel escalates tensions. IDF responds with airstrikes. Hezbollah, the Lebanese militant group, launched a large rocket attack on Israel in response to the killing of one of its senior commanders. The attack comes amid rising tensions in the region. Israeli forces had targeted the Hezbollah commander, accusing him of planning and executing attacks against Israel. The Israeli military said the rockets were launched from southern Lebanon into the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights and northern Israel. The Israeli Defense Forces reported that approximately 140 rockets were fired, with some intercepted by air defense systems and others causing fires in various areas. The Israeli military said the rockets were launched from southern Lebanon into the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights and northern Israel. This rocket salvo was one of the largest attacks by Hezbollah in recent years. Israel responded with airstrikes on the launch sites, hitting targets in Lebanon. The United Nations called for restraint and urged both sides to avoid further escalation. The conflict between Hezbollah and Israel highlights the ongoing tensions in the Middle East and the potential for further violence. The situation is being closely monitored as international leaders call for calm and a de-escalation of the conflict.